Imagine living through one of the biggest genocides in world history. That was the horrible circumstance for Anne Frank. She was just a young girl in Germany, but her writings will forever be remembered for its first-hand perspective on the hardships of one of the most horrific times in history, the Holocaust. Anneliese Marie Frank, more commonly known as Anne Frank, was born in Frankfurt, Germany on June 12, 1929. Margot, Anne's sister, was born in 1926. Their parents, Otto, 1889, and Edith, 1900, were a middle-class German-Jewish couple. Otto owned a company that made ingredients for jelly. Edith was a stay-at-home mom taking care of Anne and Margot in Amsterdam in February 1934 to move away from the first Nazi invasion. Anne went to 6 Montessori school in Amsterdam from 1934 to 1941. On Anne's 13th birthday, Otto gave her a diary, just before they went into hiding to protect themselves against the Nazi Party in 1942. They had led a false trail pretending to travel to Switzerland to escape the invasion. Otto's factory, 263 Prinzengatschi Street, had a secret room built behind a bookcase to hide from the attack. Otto had anticipated the war for some time, so when Margot had gotten a warning report from her work, telling them to go into hiding because it was too dangerous to continue working, he knew it was safer to hide with his family. For the next 2 years, Anne, her family, the Van Peels, Fritz Pfeffer, would be hiding in what Anne called the secret annex. Herman Van Peels worked alongside Otto in his jelly production company. Herman had a son named Peter and a wife named Auguste. Fritz Pfeffer was the family dentist and was friends with Otto. They were about a year into hiding when he joined them. During their stay at the annex, Anne wrote in her diary daily. Some entries were about family drama, arguments, crushes, feelings of loneliness, short stories, dreams, essays, and her developing maturity. She addressed her diary as an imaginary friend named Kitty. She wrote, Jews were required to wear a yellow star. Jews were required to hand in their bicycles. Jews were forbidden to ride in cars, and Jews were forbidden to go to theaters, cinemas, or any other forms of entertainment. During their stay at the annex, a group of Otto's most trusted friends risked their lives to bring water, food, clothing, books, and news. Most were arrested, but all survived. On August 4, 1944, the annex occupants were found. It is unknown how they were discovered, but it's most likely that the police spotted them. They were taken to Auschwitz, a concentration camp in Poland. Somehow surviving the death march, the 8 were held in Poland until November 1, 1944. Then Anne and Margot moved to Bergen-Belsen. Edith stayed with Otto in Auschwitz and was separated from her daughters. Later, in January 1945, Edith passed away due to starvation. The sisters had survived the train ride with no food or water for a week. The showers, bathrooms, and sleeping rooms were filled with carbon monoxide to kill the inmates. Anne and Margot were dodging death left and right, but not for much longer. The Frank sisters contracted typhus in early February and passed away at the end of February or early March 1945. There was no record of when they had exactly passed, but on April 15, 1945, Bergen-Belsen was liberated by the United Kingdom and French Special Forces. Over 120,000 people were in Bergen-Belsen. Less than 60,000 survived. The survivors were forever scarred by the terrible things the Nazis did to them. Anne was one of the most influential people that lived through the Holocaust. She told her story in the most real and honest way possible. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't know as much about the Holocaust as we do. It's so sad that she didn't get to live out her dreams to be an author and write stories and have fun with it. But she did write one of the most inspirational books in history. Her diary was published on June 25, 1947. If you're wondering how, Otto was the only survivor of the original 8 in the annex. After he was released from Auschwitz, he went to the annex and searched for Anne's diary. Before everyone was captured, they hid all their belongings, hoping to come back to find them. When Otto came back, Miepkes gave it to him. Otto knew Anne would want people to know about what happened. When it was published, people thought it was controversial, but in a few months it started blowing up. Now it has sold over 30 million copies, has been translated into 70 languages, and is a part of elementary, middle, and high school curriculums. It has been made into movies, television shows, other books, podcasts, and more. Anne Frank might have had her life cut short, but her mark in history will be eternally remembered. She was so brave in a hard time. Her diary and the stories in it have forever changed this world. She once wrote, "I want to be useful or bring enjoyment to all people, even those I've never met. I want to go on living even after my death. When I write, I can shake off all my cares. My sorrows disappear, my spirits revive." But that's the big question. Will I ever be able to write something great? Will I ever become a journalist or a writer? Anne Frank deserved none of what happened. Her diary will be looked at as an example of humanity at its worst, but she is an example to always push, no matter how hard.